English Lesson 10 Common Idioms You Need to Know. Welcome to today's English lesson. We're going to explore 10 essential idioms that will help you sound more fluent and natural in conversations. By the end of this lesson, you'll know what these idioms mean, when to use them, and some interesting background information about each one. Let's get started. 1. Go down in flames. Meaning, to fail spectacularly or disastrously. When to use. Use this when something fails in a big, noticeable way. Example sentences. Their new product went down in flames after customers found out it had major defects. The company went down in flames after losing its biggest client. Interesting info. This idiom likely originates from aviation, where a plane crashing and burning was described as going down in flames. Over time, it evolved into a metaphor for any kind of disastrous failure. 2. It's not rocket science. Meaning it's not complicated. It's simple to understand. When to use. Use this when someone is overthinking or complicating something that is actually simple. Example sentences. You just need to follow the instructions. It's not rocket science. Don't worry about setting up the new TV. It's not rocket science. Interesting info. This idiom became popular during the space race in the mid-20th century, when rocket science was considered the peak of complex knowledge. The phrase contrasts ordinary tasks with the complexity of rocket engineering. 3. Let someone off the hook. Meaning, to allow someone to avoid responsibility or punishment. When to use. Use this when someone is released from an obligation or isn't held accountable for something. Example sentences. The teacher let him off the hook even though he forgot to do his homework. I was supposed to clean the house, but my mom let me off the hook because I wasn't feeling well. Interesting info. The phrase comes from fishing. When a fish gets off the hook, it escapes being caught, just as a person escapes responsibility when they are let off the hook. 4. No pain, no gain. Meaning, you have to work hard or endure discomfort to achieve something worthwhile. When to use. Use this to encourage someone to keep working hard despite difficulties. Example sentences. Learning a new language is tough, but no pain, no gain. If you want to get fit, you have to put in the work. No pain, no gain. Interesting info. This phrase has roots in fitness and athletics, popularized by the bodybuilding community in the 1980s. However, it has been used in various forms for centuries, with some attributing it to Benjamin Franklin. 5. So far, so good. Meaning, everything is going well up to this point. When to use. Use this when you're midway through something and it's going well. Example sentences. We've been on the road for 3 hours. So far, so good. I've been working on the project all morning. So far, so good. Interesting info. This idiom dates back to the 19th century and is often used in a cautiously optimistic way, implying that while things are good now, there's still potential for something to go wrong. 6. Time flies when you're having fun. Meaning, time seems to pass quickly when you're enjoying yourself. When to use. Use this when reflecting on how fast time has passed during an enjoyable activity. Example sentences. I can't believe it's already 10 p.m. Time flies when you're having fun. The vacation was over in a flash. Time flies when you're having fun. Interesting info. The origin of this phrase can be traced back to ancient Latin, with the Roman poet Virgil writing "Fugit in reparabile tempus," meaning irretrievable time flies. The modern version became popular in the early 19th century. 7. To get bent out of shape. Meaning to become upset or angry about something. When to use. Use this when someone overreacts or gets unnecessarily angry. Example sentences. Don't get bent out of shape about the mistake. We can fix it. She got bent out of shape when I suggested she might be wrong. Interesting info. This idiom possibly originates from the physical tension people experience when they are upset, as if they were being bent out of their usual form. 8. To make matters worse, meaning to make a bad situation even worse. When to use? Use this when something happens that exacerbates an already bad situation. Example sentences. He was late for the meeting, and to make matters worse, he forgot his notes. I was already having a bad day, and to make matters worse, my car broke down. Interesting info. This idiom has been in use since the 17th century, with the phrase appearing in English literature as early as the 1600s. 9. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it, meaning we'll deal with a problem if and when it arises. When to use? Use this when you don't want to worry about a potential problem until it actually happens. Example sentences. What if we can't find a parking spot? We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. We don't need to worry about that now. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Interesting info. This idiom is thought to have originated in 19th century America, reflecting the practicality of not worrying about something until it becomes necessary to address. 10. Bite off more than you can chew, meaning to take on more work or responsibility than you can manage. When to use? Use this when someone is overwhelmed because they've taken on too much. Example sentences. I bit off more than I could chew when I agreed to organize 3 events in 1 week. She's exhausted because she bit off more than she could chew with all those extra projects. Interesting info. This phrase likely originates from the 1800s in America, where it referred to someone taking a bigger bite of food than they could chew comfortably, which then evolved into a metaphor for taking on too much. These idioms are a great way to enhance your English and express yourself more vividly. Try using them in your conversations this week. Remember, the more you practice, the more natural they'll become.